image, captured in 1869, depicts a daily scene in Beijing, Pachili Province, China. At the center of the photograph, an itinerant pedicurist, or chiropodist, is working on a client's feet. The client is seated and appears relaxed during the treatment. The professional, dressed in traditional attire of the time, is bent over while holding the man's foot and using a tool. In the background, a third man closely observes the scene through a window, adding depth to the composition. The photograph offers a rare glimpse into urban life in 19th century China, highlighting street professions and the worn atmosphere of an old alleyway. The photograph, taken in India in the 1880s, portrays a man standing beside a water buffalo, an animal used for transporting water in rural areas. The buffalo is equipped with a large leather or metal container, securely fastened to its back to carry water. The man, barefoot and dressed in traditional clothing, holds the rope guiding the animal, conveying a sense of experience and simplicity. The scene reflects a way of life rooted in hard work and adaptation to local conditions, highlighting the importance of buffaloes in the agricultural economy and daily life of 19th century India. The photograph, dated 1886, captures a group of fishermen from the East Coast, likely in the United Kingdom. The three men are positioned in front of a rustic fishing hut with the inscription NYL Gao on its facade. The man in the center, with a thick beard and wearing a white shirt, rests one hand on the shoulder of one of his companions, suggesting a sense of camaraderie. The other two fishermen, seated, wear heavy clothing, indicating cold weather and the need for protection against the sea winds. Fishing gear, nets, and a metal funnel are scattered around, reinforcing the atmosphere of a daily life centered on hard maritime labor. The image conveys the strength and resilience of 19th century fishermen whose lives depended on the unpredictability of the ocean. At the center of the image, a horse pulls a cart loaded with vegetation, while a man walks alongside holding the reins. Another worker stands atop the cart, suggesting they are in the midst of agricultural tasks. The mist and soft light create a tranquil atmosphere, capturing the essence of rural life that Peter Henry Emerson sought to portray in 1890. Seated in an ornate chair, John January, a veteran of Company B of the 14th Illinois Cavalry Regiment, appears with his prosthetics in a photograph from 1890. His steady gaze and composed posture reflect resilience, while the decorative background adds a formal tone, characteristic of studio portraits of the time. The image captures not only the figure of a soldier, but also the strength and adaptability in the face of adversity. Amid a barren landscape, a group of children dressed in simple, plaid clothing curiously gathers around a camera. The woman at the center, possibly Frances Benjamin Johnston, holds the small Kodak device, while the children's attentive gazes reveal a mix of fascination and discovery. Captured in 1890, this image, titled "A Kodak Creates a Sensation," illustrates the impact of photography at the time, turning the simple act of taking a picture into a moment of wonder and innovation. Seated on a stone, a peasant displays a contemplative gaze while holding a long pipe and a dagger. Dressed in traditional clothing, including a thick cloak and a simple cap, he conveys an image of resilience and deep connection to his roots. The scene, captured in 1888 in Mestia Svanitia, reflects the strength and austerity of life in the Caucasus Mountains, capturing an authentic moment of the local culture and the identity of the region's people. In a scene reminiscent of 19th century variety shows, Fred Howe, known as Fat Man, and George Moore, nicknamed the Living Skeleton, stage an unusual boxing match. The 1890 photograph highlights the stark contrast between their physical appearances, a feature that fascinated Victorian audiences. The painted backdrop, depicting a pastoral landscape, adds a theatrical touch to the composition, making this image not only a historical record, but also a reflection of the peculiar entertainment of the era. In this 1914 image, we see a typical scene of rural package delivery in the United States. A well-dressed man, wearing a suit and bowler hat, receives a package from a mailman who is in a cart. The dirt road and the landscape with leafless trees suggest a period of autumn or winter, In the background, a house and two children observe the interaction, capturing an everyday moment of rural American life in the early 20th century. In this historic photograph, electrical workers, linemen, are performing maintenance on a power pole in St. Peter, Minnesota. One of them is at the top of the structure, amidst several telegraph lines, while another works on an intermediate platform. Below, a group of men observes the scene, possibly locals or co-workers. In the background, there is a hotel named Strelow's Hotel and another commercial establishment, suggesting the scene takes place in an urban area. The image captures a moment in the development of electrical infrastructure in the late 19th or early 20th century. Men wait in a long line outside the post office in Nome, Alaska, around the year 1900. The image shows the simple wooden building that housed the post office, a vital communication point in an isolated region during the gold rush. Wearing heavy coats and hats, the men convey the significance of the moment, receiving news from home in a remote and frigid territory. The scene is captured in rich detail by photographer William Hester, highlighting not only the value of correspondence, but also the communal spirit of a community forged amid the challenges of the American far north. An immigrant family poses among trunks and boxes in the baggage room at Ellis Island in 1905. The tired expression of the mother, holding a child in her arms, contrasts with the attentive gaze of the young boy with a bag on his back, symbolizing the hopes and uncertainties they carry. Next to them, a young girl watches the scene with a curious look, holding her hand near her face. The image was captured by Lewis Hine, a photographer known for sensitively documenting the daily lives of immigrants in the United States. The photograph powerfully conveys the emotional experience of those who left everything behind in search of a new life in the new world. On the sidewalk of an expanding American city around 1910, a boy selling newspapers carries not only copies of the day's edition, but also the weight of a hurried childhood. His attentive gaze and determined posture represent a generation that grew up too quickly, shaped by the fast pace of urban life. The scene, silent and common for the time, reveals the contrast between innocence and responsibility, between dreams and the harsh necessity of earning a living. Busy and full of life, Hester Street between Allen and Orchard Streets in Manhattan is depicted in this 1938 scene as a portrait of New York's urban and immigrant life. Street vendors display their goods on makeshift carts, while residents move about, talking and bargaining in front of shops and building staircases. The diversity of goods and cultures on the Lower East Side reflects the strong presence of Jewish immigrants in other communities. The image captures the dynamism of an era when the street was also a space for work, gathering, and resistance. Two men, elegantly dressed in overcoats, pose smiling while holding the small hand of a gigantic Tyrannosaurus Rex model in 1936. The imposing sculpture, with its almost surreal appearance against the clear sky and barren landscape, reveals the era's fascination with dinosaurs and paleontological discoveries. Although the location is not recorded, the image captures not only a scientific curiosity transformed into monumental art, but also the public enthusiasm for science in an age of expanding knowledge and imagination. Interior of Oakdale School near Lewiston, Tennessee, 1933. Amid wooden walls and the soft light coming through the windows, dozens of children share desks and notebooks in a room heated by a central stove. Between 30 to 40 students attended this modest space, where education took place with the essentials: attention, effort, and a desire to learn. The image reveals a rural America where knowledge endured despite scarcity, sustained by the strength of the community. A daily scene on Franklin Avenue, around 1900 United States. A man balances on a ladder, carefully adjusting the facade. Pedestrians walk between shop windows and advertisements, while a cart rests at the edge of the cobblestone street. A peaceful image of a working neighborhood, where small actions sustain the rhythm of the days. Three Batak warriors with spears and swords stand in front of a traditional wooden structure, Sumatra, around 1870. The image depicts members of the Batak people, an indigenous ethnic group from the northern region of Sumatra in present-day Indonesia. The warriors pose with typical weapons and traditional attire, reflecting aspects of Batik social organization and material culture in the 19th century. A dog rests between the beams on the left, suggesting the everyday presence of animals in the villages. The photograph is a rare visual record from the Dutch colonial period in the Indonesian archipelago. This photograph, taken in 1946 in Walcheren, Zeeland, Netherlands, depicts a scene of rural daily life. A farmer woman riding a bicycle with a yoke on her shoulders, balancing 2 milk buckets. She wears traditional regional clothing and rides along a dirt road between fields and typical houses of the post-war Dutch landscape. The image captures with simplicity and precision the ingenious mode of transportation used in agricultural life, combining tradition, practicality, and feminine strength during a moment of historical reconstruction.